Beep, beep, beep. Hello, folks. It's another day here at the Court of the EDI Jester, and we've got some wibbling today for you. Some wibbling that was in the Metro from a bloke called Jason Reed, right? Okay, who's written about the gay scene. He hasn't really. So, a bit of background from me, right before I read you his nonsense. Years ago, 20 odd years ago, you know, when being gay wasn't as easy as it is now, right? There'd be signs in the bars saying, this is a gay venue. Respect that, right? Okay? So that people would come in and they would respect the fact that it was a gay venue by, you know, the men not hitting on the women, for example, who were lesbians, or the women not hitting on the men. They still do it to this day, because that's the way it is. But this guy's, you know, gone a bit nuts. So that's how it used to be, right? It was great. You know, please respect that this is a gay and lesbian venue. And off you'd go and everybody was fine, generally. And if they weren't, the bar would go, okay, you're done. You're done. Get off. Go. Right? So that was how it used to work, right? Gradually over the years, there wasn't a need for it anymore. And what this guy is saying is that there's a need to do something similar now. I don't think there is a need to do something similar. I think there's just a need to go back to, remember, this is a gay and lesbian space. Right? That's what we need to do in bars and restaurants. No, not restaurants so much, but bars certainly. In, you know, London and Manchester. This is a gay and lesbian venue. That's it. Okay, please respect it. Doesn't mean you're going to turn anybody away. Just remember that you're in a gay and lesbian space. That's what I would say, right? Okay? So this guy writes, someone tell straight people to stop ruining our safe spaces. That's the title. Someone tell straight people to stop ruining our safe spaces. Oh, you straight people, you rotten swine. For the past 20 years, he says, most of my adult life, I have worked on London's gay scene. I've been a bartender, managed various venues, produced drag and cabaret events, judged talent shows, mixed it with all manner of people, same here, written about and interviewed hundreds of LGBTQ plus hands, knees and bumps of daisy artists and reviewed venues for the gay press. Right, so this is a confused man. First of all, he says, I've worked on London's gay scene, and then he's saying he's been interviewing LGBTQ plus hands, knees and bumps of daisy nutters. Right? I grew up under the eye of Section 28. Right. Why do they always quote that? As if it was some great imposition. It wasn't. Right? They're at it again, can you hear them? As if it wasn't some great imposition. Nonsense. I grew up under the eye of Section 28. Section 28 was... Don't know. I grew up under the eye of Section 28, so my formative years were completely devoid of any gay representation. What's he talking about? Queer as Folk was 1999. That's 23 years ago. Queer as Folk was 1999. He said here, for the past 20 years, most of my adult life. So let's assume, for example, he's 40. He was 20 when he arrived here, when he arrived on the scene, which was 2003, 4 years after Queer as Folk. I grew up under the eye of Section 28, so my formative years were completely devoid of any gay representation. That's not true, young man. Is it? This left me feeling isolated and constantly conflicted, given that I started feeling different, gay as I now know it, around the age of 11. At first, I couldn't... It's just bizarre. At first, I couldn't put a name to what I was feeling. Like many gay people of my generation, I internalized those feelings for as long as possible because the only option presented to me was heteronormativity. Here we go. He's a queer theorist. Right? So, he grew up like most gay people. And as we've moved through time, because he was 11, that must be, 25 years ago or more, right? So I'm trying to work it out, see? Because if you have a look at the picture of Jason Reed, he's a kind of smiley fella. Got a smiley face, but I'd say late 30s, right? Let's assume I'm going to be given the benefit of the doubt and say he's 40, right? In which case, he's saying that at the age of 11, which would have been 29 years ago, okay, which was the middle of the 90s. What? Right? So, I don't get it. Somebody do the math for me, because I think he's lying. But I'm more than happy to be proved wrong. That actually, once we got to 1999, Queer as Folk came out. I mean... What? Somebody do the math. The only thing that was presented to me was heteronormativity. So here the othering starts. So here's the box ticking. He's beginning the box ticking now. Right, okay? Heteronormativity. Remember, heteronormativity is an idea from queer theory wallahs like this guy, that anything that he deems not queer can be blamed on heteronormativity. So he's an activist. Okay? Now, once I came to terms with my sexuality in my late teens, so that would have been, if you're 40, sorry to harp on about the dates, but I think it's important. If you're 40 now, in 2003 you were 20. So your late teens was 2000, shall we say. The same year as Queer as Folk came out. And was a huge smash hit. Right. Okay. I made connection with like-minded people and sought out any kind of gay media I can get my hands on. I know how you feel. I did it. Bearing in mind this was the pre-internet age. I've been on the internet 30 years, kid. What are you talking about? 2000 wasn't pre-internet. This is absolute... This is what they do, you see. They make things up. Bearing in mind this was pre-internet age, well, for your information, kid, the internet was invented just after the Second World War by ARPANET, the Advanced Research and Project Administration Network. By the time we got into the 60s and 70s, it was run by the National Science Foundation Network, which is when it became something that was used mostly amongst universities and researchers and the government military programs. Okay? Pre-internet, 2001. You're an idiot. Bearing in mind this was the pre-internet age, I plucked up the courage to hit the gay scene. What? What was the first gay app? Clive and Dennis helped with this. Was it Gaydar? Was that it? Gaydar. I'm going to have a look while you're watching, right? So bear with me. When was Gaydar founded?
According to Wikipedia, it was founded in 1999 in...
So Gaydar was founded in 99, but 2001 was pre-internet, unless this guy's older than I think he was. And even if it wasn't founded in 1999, it still wasn't pre-internet. Before that, you had what was called IRC, or Internet Relay Chat. And there were gays all over it. That's how I found them. Right? Chat rooms, MSN, news groups, pre-internet age. It's just talking cobblers, isn't it? It's talking out his backside. I initially felt like I discovered paradise. I know how you felt, mate. It does feel like that, doesn't it? It's like it's shiny and new. You don't see the filth or the grime underneath. Watch Blue Velvet. Right, so here we go. Over the years, I spent some of my best times in LGBTQ plus spaces. There were no LGBTQ plus spaces back then. There were gay spaces. That was it. Gay and lesbian spaces. Gay bars, lesbian bars. There weren't very many of those. I've made friends and lovers and worked hard to ensure the preservation of these vital spaces. Have you? Have you done that? Precisely. When you consider that the whole thing's been taken over by the alphabet nutters that you're a member of. How exactly have you done that? How exactly have you aided and abetted LARPing straight people, men in dresses, and stupidly confused young girls who think they're gay men? How exactly have you protected gay spaces from them? From being a nervous gay boy in London at 19, I reckon I've got the age about right, to a wise and established queen at 40. Jesus Christ almighty. You are not a wise and established queen. All right? You're not. LGBTQ plus venues have always meant one thing, safety. Are you insane? Are you insane? Since our spaces were co-opted, they haven't been safe at all. Since we got equality, it got worse. The only times I ever got sexually assaulted by women, which was twice, by the way, happened in the last 15 years. Not the previous 10. The fact that the young men who work in the bars are being sexually assaulted by women is a now thing. In these sacred spaces I can express myself without inhibitions of fear of ridicule or being attacked, surrounded mostly by people who feel the same. Every strand of an LGBTQ plus venue is designed with LGBTQ plus people in mind first and foremost. No, it's not. No, it's not. And if it is, it's got nothing to do with gay and lesbian people. You're a traitor. People who have often asked me, why are such spaces even needed? My answer is because many LGBTQ plus people, myself included, find themselves on tenterhooks in heteronormative settings, which, let's face it, is the majority of society. You're a separatist, but you're a separatist through fear, right? You're a separatist through ideological fiat and fear. You are a separatist because you have an ideological belief system and you drunk the Kool-Aid of the gender identity ideology and queer theorists. That's why you're a separatist. That's why you're frightened, and you should be, right? Because these ideological parasites that have taken over the gay scene have nothing to do with gay and lesbian men. And you came out at 19 and found what I found, which is a wonderful place to be. And by the time you were 40, you betrayed the very people that gave you those sacred spaces you're talking about. Go read it, okay? Go read it. Go read it. It's a very confused article by a very confused man, and I think he illustrates exactly what's wrong with these gay men in their 30s and 40s. You're a traitor, mate. Sue me. All right, okay? When you came, like I did when I came out for the first time, it was a bit earlier than you, but, you know, beautiful, great, just gay men. The first time I sat around a table and had dinner with 8 gay men, it was like something I'd never experienced before. A connection with people because of our shared lived experience. Now, you can tell me if you want to, if you wish to respond to this, please, because I would like to know, what is your shared lived experience with LARPing straight men, LARPing straight women, damaged children, and people who think that the best idea moving forward is to break down the barriers between adulthood and childhood? Because right now, you look look to me like a typical Vichy gay, and you should be utterly ashamed of yourself. Bye, everyone.